All right. Okay. Unprecedented. 2 streams in a day. All right. Let me just check. Everything's okay. We'll see how this goes. I adjusted some more things while I was offline. So hopefully the quality stays good. We don't have any stuttering or cutout. I did a short 2-minute private stream to try and assess the issue. I think part of it was the scaling. Something was going weird with the scaling from the source video to the stream. I don't know. It was just being weird. So while we wait for folks to come in, again, always the first awkward minute, welcome to my channel. It's the Littlebean podcast channel. My name's Kayleen and I'm your host. And today I'm doing the second of 2 live streams. The first live stream was kind of impromptu. We dyed a couple colorways. It's the middle of the day. I don't expect a ton of people to come in here live, but if you're rewatching this stream, you can see down below the live chat. So as people come in and chat on the stream, you should be able to see it played back as the video plays. So if I have any questions or comments or things that I address in the stream, you should be able to see it. So if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you want to be subscribed to the channel, definitely do. Click subscribe and also click the bell icon. YouTube likes to forget to send subscriptions to people's boxes. So if you click the bell icon, you will be notified of when I upload. So, people are coming in. Yay! Hey, Crochet Luna. Good to see you too. I'm glad I decided to do 2 streams. So, Tuck's gone up for nap. Cece's occupied. I told her to stay out of the kitchen. We'll see how well this goes in terms of the stream. Oh, good. Yay! I love gifting yarn. I'm glad she did. I love Clarissa Best. She is probably one of the sweetest people I've ever spoken to in my life. Let me adjust my windows so I can see the chat and see the video and see the stream. It's like this cluster of videos on my screen. So now I have re-upped the acid in my pans, and I've also re-upped the acid, added extra water, and I've let these skeins cool off. So this is what we dyed earlier today. Hello, Emily Wells. Hello there, welcome. So this was by request, so people were asking for kind of turquoise and yellow. Sorry if that's loud. And so I dyed up Mimble Wimble, which is blues and yellows. It's a speckled colorway. It's kind of moderately speckled. So I'm just going to wring these out and put them in my spin dryer. And then the other colorway that I dyed up was Beaubaton, because people wanted to see blues and purples, so that was the perfect colorway to dye today. And I'm dyeing on my Luxe base, so this is an MCN base that I have sitting around. It's pretty much the only yarn I got left. I have to do another wholesale order. I like to batch them together. Where's my tie on this? Well, can't find my tie. Those are my favorite colors. Yeah, I love them. They're so pretty. They're so pretty together. It's such a cheerful colorway. It's very, very springtime, I feel. So then, Beaubaton. If I can get this to straighten out. Here's the tie. When you think all hope is lost, you find the tie. Do you wash it before re-dyeing or wring it out? So before I dye, I soak my skeins. I don't normally scour them unless it's, straight wool. So if it was just 100% merino and it wasn't already superwash treated, I definitely would use a little bit of soap in there. Again, I'm having trouble with my video. I don't understand. Yeah, so I would soak. If it's really just regular wool, I would scour. And then then I put it into the dye bath, which is acidic, so I used citric acid in my dye bath instead of vinegar. And then after it's done dyeing, I do a rinse. So I usually will soak it in clean water. I'll do I usually change, I'll change it after 8 skeins. So if I do 2 pans, then I will rinse them both in the same water, add fresh water, rinse and wring them out, and then I will change the water. Just because I only have one sink and it's only very small, it's not really the best for dyeing bulk. But if I feel like it needs more of a rinse, I'll do a freshwater rinse. You've never dyed yarn before, but love watching others do it. Well, I'm glad that you could watch my stream. So you're going to watch me dye some yarn. And if there's some colors that you'd like to see, I'm happy to dye them. I'm just dyeing the skeins that I have. So this is Beaubaton. So it's blues and grays and purple. I'm not sure how well it's going to translate on the webcam, but I usually post pictures up on Instagram after I dye yarn. So this is Beaubaton. Alright, so I'm going to try and soak these. Hopefully the water sound won't be too loud. I might reduce the volume of my microphone just so that it's not too loud. So right now I have the water running, so I'm just turning the volume down so that you guys don't get blasted because the microphone is here and the sink is here. So just give me one moment. All right, so that back should be back to normal volume. Again, I'm sure you guys can hear me pretty well, but video, it's still giving me this weird feedback from YouTube saying, oh, your video, it's not getting enough video feed, which it doesn't make any sense because my upload speed's really good. Oh, hello, Rebecca. Miss Rebecca from Chemnitz is in the chat. Get hyped. I mentioned you in the last live stream. And you've been live streaming a bit now using OBS. Have you ever had this problem where the video, it says video output low? And I've adjusted my bitrate and I've adjusted everything. I don't even know how I'm going to handle this right now. I might have to stop and start to change the settings. But I always hate stopping the live stream. Yes. You've had that problem. Yes, I assume that is your answer. It's so annoying. I don't really know how. I can't read how to fix things. Yeah, I don't know either. My brother's a streamer, so I really should ask him. But he doesn't stream to YouTube. He streams to Twitch. And he doesn't, I'm pretty sure it's my computer that's giving the issue, but I don't know. Alright, so I got some yarn soaking here. I'm just going to give it a minute. Because it's super washable, it soaks really fast. It is an MCN, so I'm going to give it an extra moment before I do dyeing on it. Just making sure all the air bubbles are out, everything is saturated. Your brother streams. Really? My brother is actually streaming right now. He just had his 3-year stream anniversary. so to speak. All right, let me stop this and restart it. Let me change my bit rate. Maybe that will help. I don't know. See, now it's gone green. And it did this to me before too. It went like yellow and then green, then red, then green, then red, and it kept going back and forth. So I don't know if it's just my bit rate, like my computer can't handle the bit rate, or oh no. But yeah, anyway, my brother's streaming right now. He's on Twitch right now, streaming Alundra. Of all games, he's very excited. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, my audio, that's what I got last time, was that my audio was fine, but not the video. I don't know if it's because I'm trying to use two cameras or what, but I like to use two cameras, you know, to see both sections of the dyeing process. Okay, all right, let me separate these into the pans. So, tips for dyeing in the restaurant pans. I gave a little tip last stream earlier today, like an hour ago, about laying your skeins in the pan a certain way. So I wring out the excess water because I use low water in my pans and I want the yarn to soak up some of the acid that's in the pan. But as I'm laying them down, I try to lay them down so that I have as many strands as possible showing throughout the whole skein. So I lay them flat. And these pans are cool. I probably should warm them up, shouldn't I? That would be smart. What a strange thing to touch a cold dye pan. I don't understand. Here we go. See, now it's been green for a little while, so I don't know what is going on with this crazy thing. Alright, so I like to dye 4 skeins at a time. I feel like it's a nice medium amount in these type of pans to do speckling. It's enough so that I have like enough of this skein is showing here, but it's not like too much, like if I want to do light speckles. So the way I lie them is, if this is your skein and my fingers are the strands, I lie them so that as many strands, so from the beginning of the skein to the end of the skein, are showing. And I like wiggle them around to try and get as many showing, and then when I turn it, I wiggle them around again to try and get as many strands. Because if you lay them like this, and this is the beginning of your yarn and this is the end of your yarn, you're only going to get a lot of dye at the top and the bottom, and then the middle is going to be a little bit left out. Or if you don't turn your yarn, you'll have a lot at the beginning and none at the end. So if you ever saw, Mina Phillip did a sock once, like for one of her sock clubs, and it was her, I forget which pattern it was, but she used the Hedwig colorway by another dyer. But one of her socks turned out almost black, and then the other sock turned out almost white because it was unevenly dyed. Yay, hello Christina. Christina. You love that tip. Yeah, it's a pretty good tip. It's taken a lot of practice to learn that, but it's not, I mean, if you're thinking about the mechanics of dyeing, then it makes a lot of sense. So these pans already have acid. If you're just tuning in, I use citric acid. I generally just eyeball it. If I'm unsure of the pH, I'll test it, but I've been doing this long enough. So I'm just laying the skeins so that they don't tangle or lay over each other, so that I get as much exposure on each skein as possible. You could always go down to 3 skeins in a pan or 2 skeins in a pan. If you wanted less coverage and you wanted more areas to resist, you could put 6 skeins in a pan if you wanted. I guess it's all about the effect that you want to have in your dye work. For me, I'm fine with 4. It's a nice even number, and I like that. Hello Mary, welcome back. Good to see you. I'm just going to let this water out. It's not very much water in the sink, but I like to have the sink open so I can use a towel and dab my fingers off. So do you guys have any suggestions for colorways or colors that you'd like to see, and then I can dye a colorway that kind of goes to that palette? Earlier I dyed blues and yellows and then blues and purples. I'm happy to dye anything. How much water do I put in my pans? For speckling, I put just enough to come to the surface of the skein. So I have a little delay on my Logitech. So like right here, you can see some water. It's barely enough to come to the top of the skeins. If I have too much water, then what will happen is the dye will strike the water and then it will just spread. Pink and black. We can do pink and black. We'll make a new colorway called the ChemKnits colorway. Yeah, I think I have just a little bit too much water in this pan, so I am going to take a cup and just take out some water. Deep foresty greens. Ooh. Yes. We could do a Forest of Dean. That's a good color. I think Kevin's color needs to be pink, purple, and blue. Okay, let's make that happen. We'll pretend like we're breaking Wilton's violet. Let's see. I think I like topped off my pans just a little too much. Yeah, so if I was going to do a tonal yarn, I'd probably do it in a pot versus these low pans. But I would fill up these pans with water, so there would be at least an inch or two of water above the skeins so that I could move the skeins around in here. But these aren't really big enough to do good tonals. I like to have more room for the yarn to move. Again, these pans are hot. Please don't touch hot pans with your bare hands. These are not heat protectant gloves. I'm very used to touching hot pans, but please don't do that. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why I'm having a delay on my webcam. It's very strange. That must be processing. My computer being unable to process the input fast enough. See, I need a new computer that's more powerful. I have a MacBook Pro, but it's not like top of the line, like it's like the base model. And I have problems like this when I use like Final Cut Pro or I'm recording a podcast and like trying to edit and do all these things. I get like laggy delays. Alright, so my pans on a stovetop, this is my kitchen. I take a lot of precautions dyeing in my kitchen because I do have two small children. One is napping right now, one is occupied in the living room because I don't have the opportunity today to be alone in the house while I dye. But, oh, yay, colorful day. It's a colorful day. I'm glad everybody's finding each other. It's such a nice community. And especially through Rebecca's channel, because her channel was one of my inspirations for starting to dye. Oh, that's hot. Don't burn. Hot, hot, hot. She was one of my inspirations for starting to dye, and her channel just brings a lot of curiosity and life, and just kind of like gets you thinking about different colors or different methods, or taking a true scientific approach, which I can appreciate as a person who used to work in research, in psychological and neurological research, and I have a psychology degree, so I'm very much used to controlled trials, so it makes me, do I keep the burners on low or medium? So I heat the water up, it's usually on a medium, and as I move through the dye process, I turn the heat down, so it ends up being on low medium. So on a scale from 1 to 9, it's usually on a 3. Especially for this base, this is an MCN base, so I don't want to scorch it, I don't want to burn it, I don't want to felt it, so I try to keep the heat as high as I need it and not any higher. Alright. The only problem with these pans is that you get hot spots. So there's a hot spot here and a hot spot here. And the way I combat that is by moving the water around a little bit and trying to get a nice even heat, and also using a cover helps as well. So you'll see me cover, I'll do this pan first and you'll see me cover the pan, and it will be better. Okay, oh, and I wanted to show Rebecca, since you're here, show you, I don't know if you got to this point in the last stream, but this was the dye up from the last. And I said I should have done this on a sock blank because it reminds me of a tie-dye t-shirt. So these were all the colors that we used before, which was kind of fun. But anyway, okay, let's do, so Rebecca said green and brown. Yeah, so green and brown could be Forest of Dean. I could do that color. If we want to do pink, purple, and blue, let me grab some dyes, and I'll be back in just a moment. Sorry, that took me a moment. I totally should have, yeah. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. I always think of doing it and then I never get the blank ready and then I'm like, I'll just do it next time. Okay, so let's do a pink, purple, blue. I'm gonna use a fluorescent pink just because I want to be extra about it. So we'll do that in this pan here. So fluorescence, let's just get started on that. I am going to be very careful with this because fluorescent dye takes a long time to exhaust and it goes everywhere. So I'm going to start with the fluorescent and then I will work the other colors around it. And you don't need very much fluorescent dye to do a speckle. Let's just be clear. Because it will go everywhere. Oh, I should put a mask on. Don't do this. You should put a mask on if you're dyeing. I got a little carried away. Yes, Cecilia? I am being beckoned by the child. Mask. And I will be back in a moment. Yes, Cecilia? So we got some fluorescent pink. So you see how much it spreads, it goes places. All right, so I got my mask on. Do like I say, not like I do. Always put your mask on before you start. It's easy to get carried away. Okay, here we go. So we got the pink down. So I'm gonna put the blue next, I think. This is going to look a little bit like cotton candy, I feel. Ooh, it's like a sugary... It's coming up very blue on camera. Yeah, fluorescents, they go a long way, Rebecca. If you're doing it, you're going to have to make sure they exhaust really well. They tend to bleed, so you really need to take the extra time with them to make sure that they set properly. Speaking from experience, the first yarn I dyed that had fluorescent dyes in it was Don't Call Me Nymphadora, and it's pretty much all fluorescent pink that skein, and it is a beast. Oh yeah, purple pop breaks. It breaks, this is actually fluorescent fuchsia that I just put in the pan. Purple pop breaks purple and pink. I made a colorway called Pygmy Puff. I use that as a generic colorway with fluorescent. Ooh, excuse me. Okay. Now I'm going to use a purple. This purple is discontinued. This breaks. So if you need this color, Rebecca, let me know. This is purple haze. This breaks blue and purple and red. If you want to try and break it, but it's discontinued, but I did a bulk buy and got a huge amount of it because I love it so much. I'm very sad. But this one is a beast to get a consistent tonal. I used to get speckles, like all crazy things. All right, here we go. Yes. All right. Got a little wiggle going on in this pan. What does breaks mean? Breaks means, yeah, when it starts as one color, and so if you dip the yarn into it, it has a chance of some of the dye binding first and then other dyes binding later, which results in two different colors or an uneven color. If you speckle with it, it will break on the yarn itself. So this dye I can see in the pan. There's the purple, there's some pink and blue getting speckled out from this color. Basically magic, yes. It's just because it's a blend of different types of dye colors and dye particle sizes. So yeah, it is a very dark color. But I wanted to have it in there to tone down the fluorescent pink, but still kind of complement it. But yeah, it'll be really cool once it's up and out. So I'm going to cover this pan, and we'll do this one, this pan over here. So any votes on color palette, I'm happy to entertain. Oh, I just touched that with the dye finger. I touched it with a dye finger. All right, I guess I'll have to do like a darker color over that spot so that it, the barners are still on, yes. So they're on medium low, so like a 3, like somewhere between a 3 and a 4. I don't need them to be that high because the cover is going to keep the steam inside. So it's going to steam the top of the yarn really well. Okay, so I can do Forest of Dean. That's a brown and green color. And I don't have it on this base. Let's check my recipe. Cool. Forest of Dean. Let me grab those colors. I have not repeated a single color from last live stream. So I have now 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 dye canisters, 13, 14, 15 dye canisters because we've done all different colors. So, all right, this is 3 colors, this colorway. It's more green than brown. Prongs is more brown than green. It shares a similar palette. Yes, I will. I did at the beginning of the stream, but I can pull 1 or 2 out of, once I dry these, I can let you see. Okay, so I'm going to start with the lightest color, which is a yellow. Don't touch the hot pan, children. Do not. This is kind of like a greeny yellow. Yeah. I did show them at the beginning. So if you end up rewinding or watching back, you might be able to rewind this live stream if you really want to see it, but once it gets published, then you should be able to see it. I did tap this yarn with my fingers because I wanted the dye to spread a little bit more. Then I'm going to do a little brown. This brown tends to break a little red, and so does that yellow, but it's okay. Doot, doot, doot. Doot, 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 doot. Wiping my fingers. I don't don't get dye stuff everywhere. Sometimes I'll even put a cup of water on the counter so that I can just swish my fingers in it and then I tap them dry on a paper towel. Alright, now comes the green. This is a lovely green. I love it. So like a blue-green kind of color. And this is kind of the main color of the colorway, so I'm going to go a little heavy-handed on it. Because this is what I want to speak when the yarn is knit up. So, there we go. I will show it to you once I've cleaned my fingers off. I'll move the camera so you can see. This color is bold in terms of getting everywhere, all over my fingers, all over my dye surfaces. Alright, so here is the color that I just started. I have a delay here. So it's mostly green with blue and yellow, brown and yellow mixed in, but it's called Forest of Dean. It's supposed to be a pretty foresty color. So there's that. And now I'm going to uncover this and switch, because this should be exhausted. Just check my hand so I do not contamination. Ooh, pretty. It's so pretty. All right, let us flip where the magic happens, the flipping. How long do they cook? It depends on the colors. I actually want to check this one. So don't touch the yarn with your hands, kids. I touch it with my fingers. Not the smartest idea, but I want to see if any of the color comes off. If it does, I'll give it more time. But it's usually 10 or 15 minutes per side, depending on the colors that I'm using, how well they strike, how quickly they strike, how hot the pans are. For this base, I know that the colors strike well and strike quickly, so I don't really have to worry about, ooh, this is very pretty. You can see there's a tiny bit of fluorescent pink in the pan, and that's because fluorescent pink goes everywhere. Okay. I was light-handed with it, so we shouldn't have too big of a problem. You can see like there's some pink on this skein back here, which is fine. I don't think it's really going to aesthetically harm the piece. Plus, this is my first time ever dyeing this color. It's the Chemnitz inspired colorway. We should give it a name. What should we name it? Rebecca, what should we name this color? Forest of Dean's Harry Potter, yes. And it's an actual place in England. But I have Prongs, which is Harry Potter's dad, James, his Patronus. And it's also a foresty color, but it's mostly brown and has some sage green and a little bit of kind of weedy yellow color. Similar palette, but it's much more brown. So well, you get better. You better name this colorway, girl. This is your color. It is your color. All right. We're going to go light on the fluorescent. Very little bit. Kemi Brewster. Okay. Literally the tiniest pinch. Like as tiny of a pinch as I can get of this color. Punky Brewster vibes. Ooh. It is pretty 80s. It's a little bit of an 80s color. Alright. So can you see how much came off my fingers? And how much is speckling? Like the tiniest bit. Chemnitz color. It is a Chemnitz color. Needs to go look. Well, I usually name my stuff after Harry Potter. But this is a special colorway named after Chemnitz. So you get to name it whatever you like. So it's all you. Alright, blue. vibrant. Makes me think of, oh, Tonks, yep. Okay, we can name it Tonks. I'd be down with that. I do have a colorway called Don't Call Me Nymphadora, which is different than this one, but a similar vibe, similar vibe. Alright, now we're going for the purple. Again, dark purple. This color, you also don't need too much of it to go a long way. But I can see here these tiny little flecks. When I sprinkle it, you can see it breaking. So I'm just trying not to go too cray on the purple, but oh well, it's ending up cray. Crazy! That's okay. Let me get a little more. So I feel like there's a little, you can't really see it here, but there's like a little bare spot. I don't like seeing little bare spots in my yarn. I'm going to do a little pink in that spot, and a little blue. Okay, well, I'm going to cover this one and work on this one. Now if you use covers, again, I think I'm using Wilton's Violet as hair dye. I don't know how much that would work, but okay, so this is hot. If you've ever used the steam pan, you always want to open the lid away from you to get the steam out, but I can't really lift it that way, so I kind of have to improvise and open it away from me this way. Ooh, that came out very green. Making sure there's no green on the underside of that foil. Now this seals it in. And this is going to get turned to the other side. It came out extremely green. Let's check it. Make sure I don't have pink all over my hands because fluorescent pink goes everywhere. Okay, that's ready to be turned. Blissfully quiet day at work. So knit away, no judgment here. This is the judgment-free zone. Judgment-free. Alright, where's this tie? Where's my ties? Again, I try to keep it flat. Turn it over, use my tongs because it's very hot. I give it a zhuzhing. A zhuzh, it's a scientific term, zhuzh. And I zhuzh it. Try not to do too much agitation, again, because I don't want to hurt the yarn because it does have cashmere in it. So I'm give it a little dibbly-doo. Now we'll do the other side. Okay, so again, while I speckle, I like to speckle the lightest to darkest because then I'm really controlling how much there is of the lighter colors and stuff. So. And so even though you see me speckling in a certain pattern, like I usually kind of do like an S curve or back and forth, or sometimes I'll do diagonal. It just depends on what I feel like and what the colorway really calls for. But because the yarn is so much longer than the pan, it doesn't come out that way when you knit it up or cake it up. The yarn will stretch out, and then when you lay it back in the pan, it's in a little bit of a different configuration. It's not going to be exactly the same. So, this color does not like to spread. It's a very concentrated, like once it hits, it's there. It doesn't move. So I like to tap it in to spread it out a little bit. Anyway, where's my brown? Where's the brown? Here it is. I hate when I don't, like, I labeled this top, but it's just like if I don't label the tops and I have all the jars on the counter, I'm like, where's my color? I have to pick up every single jar to check it. It's crazy. Okay, brown it is. Here we go. Such an earthy color. I love this colorway. It's so pretty. So if you're just coming into the stream now, or if you're watching this back, this is the second stream of today. If you check my channel, you see the first stream where I dyed up Mimblewimble and Beaubaton at your request. I showed them at the beginning of this stream as well, so if you watch this on the playback after the stream goes, after I finish going live, then you should be able to see what the colors were from earlier today. And then I'll definitely be posting these on my Instagram, so if you don't follow my Instagram, please do. It's Littlebean Crochet. I really should change it to Littlebean Loves Yarn. That probably would be smart. Anyway, okay, so green time it is. I went a little bit lighter on the green on this side because I went so ham on the other side. So I think that should be okay. We'll see how much that spreads. This color likes to spread. So, interesting. Okay. We have very unmatching colors for this one. It's very like browns and greens and then fluorescent pink. So, anyway. Okay, let us clean this and then move this. That looks to be good. I'm going to move this over to cover, and then I'm going to test this to see if it's ready. Ah, so hot. Hot, 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 hot. Feeling hot, hot, hot. Okay. It is ready to come out. I will change the water in this dye pan because the fluorescent pink sticks around. Even when it's exhausted, fluorescent dyes, they take a long time to exhaust. Okay. Ooh, this is so pretty. There's still a little bit of pink coming in the pan, but not a lot. And there's a slight peach tone to the base yarn because of the fluorescent pink. And it likes to move, so yes. So every base is different, Christina. So if you're dyeing, 100% wool versus superwash wool versus MCN versus silk, even bases that are 2-ply versus 4-ply will come up differently. I'm just going to turn the volume down just for a moment so you don't get blasted out by the water, but I'm going to fill up the sink with some tepid water. funny because like at that point in the video is where I would put like the montage of like filling the sink with the cool music, you know, and make it a little more interesting. So I just have these skeins in sub-tepid water. They're still warm but not super hot. I try not to shock them so much or agitate them. This is kind of a fun color, and you can kind of see it's like a little peachy pink, the fluorescent and the blue. But the rinse water right now is clear. I'm going to add a little soap into this so that it's not so bad. So that we can see if there's any bleeding, but there shouldn't be any. So I just have a very small amount of Eucalyptus soap, enough for how much water that's in the sink. I'm just going to massage it into the yarn and into the rinse water to make sure that there's no bleeding, and there's none, of course, because here at Littlebean Loves Yarn, we set our dyes properly. At least we try our very, very best. So I like the dark pops that this purple gave in this yarn. I know you can't see it at the moment. It's kind of nice. So what's nice about this base is how plump it gets after it dries. So I'll take photos of this. Did we decide on a name? Was it Tonks? Were we going to name this Tonks? It's really cool. We got some bright spots of pink, the dark purple, and the blue. It's not quite Wilton's Violet, but it's certainly fun. And you can see it. Hopefully you can see it pretty well. I'm not sure. This light under here is pretty yellow. You can see all the different colors. But yeah, blooms really nicely. And when it's soaking in the water, I think because it's so bloomy, like it opens up, the dye usually strikes really well and really fast. So you can see the pink left in this pan is pretty annoying, but yeah, see, this is not ready. You can see the green. Stuck my finger in the green. Make sure I don't touch the yarn that's in the sink. That would be pretty silly. But yeah, I just have not had a chance to dye in the last very fun color. Yeah, it's a pretty summery color. It's kind of fun. It reminds me of like cotton candy. Like going to a fair, like a festival, and like having like the multicolored cotton candy. That's what it reminds me of. Yeah, I haven't had too much time to dye lately. This is attractive. Just between the kids being sick. In the first stream I gave an update. Excuse me. Sorry for that. My throat gets very dry with the mask on. So then when I take the mask off, it's like trying to breathe regular moist air again. It's very strange. It also makes me have a runny nose, which is yucky. So we had some sickness over the last few weeks. We were in a car accident. Obviously, we're all fine, but it's just been a very stressful couple weeks. And then this week is school vacation, so I don't really have any alone time when disappear. Oh yeah, do the recap. You gotta do what you gotta do. I'll show the yarn again, Rebecca. But you know, not any time to film a podcast or to do a tutorial or a topic video. No time to dye. It's just been, you know, one of those like months where the time kind of goes really slow but fast at the same time. Like you just feel like you never have enough time to do whatever you want. You know, you just are constantly trying to catch up to life. Like it's just life moves slowly and fast at the same time. I don't know how else to describe that. So here's the color. So it's broken, you know, some cool fluorescent pink pops with the blue and the purple. And the purple's nice and dark. It gives a nice feel to the yarn. Like a little bit of dimension, so it's not just the mid-tones. It's the, you know, the bright, like the pale and fluorescent pinks. Like the whole yarn has a little bit of a pink cast because of the fluorescent pink. And then has the blue pops and the purple pops, which is so cool. So we can name it whatever you like, Rebecca. It reminds me of cotton candy a bit. You know, just the color palette itself reminds me of going to a carnival. But yeah, everyone's okay, Christina. There's no worries here. It's just, you know, when you're trying to catch up, you just feel like life is just moving and moving and moving and moving, and you just, there's no place to like center yourself. I think that's what I'm trying to say. There's no place to be just existing and getting into a better routine. Like, it's just hard. Anyway, so, all right, let's check this yarn. I should put new gloves on. Cotton Candy Carnival. There's no panic. You just name a colorway, whatever suits you or suits the color. I won't pressure you to name it, Rebecca. Don't worry. You don't have to name it if you don't want to. But it is inspired by Chemnet's color, so. I can send you a picture later. Or like tomorrow when it's dry. Alright, let's check this color. Woo. See? We still got some. So the avocado color, like that bluey green, didn't really spread as much. There's one spot here that has a little time left. No, maybe not. Maybe that's okay. It's so hot. So hot. If at first you don't burn yourself, touch the pan again. The Chemnitz experiment. Talks to honey dukes. I love it. All the suggestions are great. Sorry if that was loud. It's funny because when I edit videos and I use my microphone, since I've been using a mic, I'm like actually recording separate audio, overlaying it, syncing it, and like enhancing it and making sure it's clear. Like anytime I'm doing a live stream or I'm watching a live stream, I like cringe at the audio because I'm like, oh, it could be so much better. But you're limited, you know. It's kind of, even though I'm using my good mic, it's like I have no control over it, you know. There's no like, this is not post-production. But yeah, the rinse water is completely clear. Cloudy but clear, because it's cloudy because of all of the citric acid getting washed out. But how are the dyes set? So you need, if you're using acid dyes to dye wool or protein fiber, animal fiber, you need two things. You need an acid and a heat to set the dye. So the dyes will bind to the fiber in a hot and acidic environment. So that's why it's so important when you're dyeing to to allow the yarn time in the heat and to be at temperature for it to properly set into the yarn so you don't get bleeding afterward. With any hand-dyed yarn, and any acid dye really, like there's always a chance of bleeding. If you wash your yarn in super hot water or you wash your finished object in super hot water, you are going to break the bonds of the dye. So there's a certain care that comes with using protein fiber like wool that are dyed with acid dye. Even if it's a machine washable fiber like superwash wool, you want to wash it on cool water or warm but very tepid water. So hand washing is great, or cool if you're going to put it in the washing machine. Most of the yarns I dye are machine washable. I wouldn't machine wash this MCN because it is delicate and it also will felt. And then drying it, you want to dry it on cool or lay it flat to dry. You don't want to apply too much heat because heat is what makes the bond, but it is also what breaks the bond. So by heating it in acidic water or steaming it after it's been soaked in acid, you are setting the dye bonds to the fiber, but it's also that heat that can break it. So I'm rinsing right now in tepid water, so it's room temperature. When I filled the sink, I filled it with room temperature water, which I'm quite used to because I have 3 fish tanks, so I'm very good at judging temperature. But that is what you should be doing. And then I do reuse rinse water as long as I'm not doing it too much, because you are rinsing out the acid, so you don't want to saturate your rinse water with acid and then put more yarn in it and expect it to come out like clean. But I do use a soap. I'm just going to turn this down so I can fill with more water. Okay, and then I don't fill up my sink all the way when I'm rinsing my yarn. I think I would say this is like 1/3 of the way full. I'll pick you up again. Sorry for the motion sickness. But this is probably 1/3 of the way full. Let's see, I have a little bit of a delay on this camera, but you can see it's very low with water, so it's not too much water in there. So interesting. Yeah, there's a lot to learn, and there's a lot of different techniques, and I think of it this way: everything's been done before, right? This is not something new that we're inventing. There are ways to dye yarn and fiber, and as far as I know, nobody's inventing a new technique, but you make it your own by looking within, finding inspiration within yourself and things that you like and things that you see, and then you experiment with different methods of dyeing. You find the ones that you really like, you stick to it, you get yourself a style that's something that you feel super comfortable with, and you just go from there. And it's just, even though it's a lot of hard work, which we talked about in the first live stream today, it is worth it to me. I just take things at my own pace. Okay, so this is what we just dyed. So we've got some lovely greens and browns. I'll definitely be posting on Instagram. So yeah, you just kind of go with the flow, so to speak. You find what you like, you do it. So this got a lot of dye right here. So this should be interesting to see knit up. But you can see, so I have this flat out, so you can see, so this is how the fibers are in the skein. And you can see that there's like a spread of dye across from the beginning of the skein all the way to the end of the skein. And so that's really the key with those low pans. Love, love, love. Yes, it's a creative expression. Yeah, that's how I see it. It's an art form. I missed a question. How do we choose what colors go nicely together? Well, a lot of things go into it. If I'm looking at inspiration photos, it's a lot easier because I can see a well-staged photograph and pick some colors from that photograph and put them together. I like to use color theory when I'm dyeing. So if you never looked up color theory, or if you've never taken like a basic art course, I took an art minor in college and I've been doing art since forever. But I try to put colors together that will garner a bit of interest, colors that will pair well together, meaning like I'm not going to, like I do put complementary colors sometimes in the same skein, like red and green or orange and blue, but there's ways you can do it so that you don't end up with a muddy brown skein or a black when you're finished. This came out really pretty. I'm trying to turn it. So we got lots of nice greens and yellows and browns, and the brown did break red, which is what I expected, but I don't mind it in this colorway. I think it is nice. So yeah, short answer is I use color theory. I look at not only the color itself, but I look at the undertone, whether it's warm, neutral, or cool, and that's how I choose colors. So. And sometimes I'll mix warm and cool tones. Sometimes I'll do all warm tones. Sometimes I'll do all cool tones. It just depends on what I'm feeling, what the inspiration is. So I'm just squeezing out the yarn. Even though I'm going to spin dry this, it should be all right. So it's very pretty. I keep going the opposite way because I'm watching myself in the camera trying to figure out like where I should go. I feel like I could just wear this as like, you know, a scarf, a very wet scarf. Not sure I'm brave enough. You should just do it. If you want to dye, just dye. Get some food coloring and vinegar and just experiment. There's no harm in it. You learn a lot from doing that. Were you here when Rebecca was here from Chemnitz? I don't know if you were. It's hard to keep track of who's here when. But you should check out her channel if you don't already. It's a really good starting point. In her channel, she really enforces and hits home that it's okay to experiment and it's good to... Oh, hey, you're here still. Okay, I don't know who's here or not because I can't see. But her channel fosters a sense of learning and also experimentation. So you really shouldn't be afraid to just experiment and jump in. The water sounds aren't bad. Okay. Good. I worry that it's so loud because the mic is here and the sink is here. It's very crazy. What am I saying? I'm getting off track. Experimentation. Don't be afraid. Don't limit yourself. You can do it. If you have vinegar, food coloring, and bare yarn, you can dye. Get a skein of white Cascade 220 and have at it in the dye pot. But yeah, so she said, I'm still here, I'm taking pictures. So she's in the chat right now, but her channel is Chemnitz Tutorials. And she's very sweet. And you'll get very familiar with the, hi, this is Rebecca from Chemnitz. It's like a soothing sound, one of those soothing sounds. Well, I have a few skeins of the MCN left, and I can do a dye lot of 3 if you guys... Oh, you're welcome. But that's what I like about to be honest, that's what I really like about your channel, is that it jives with a message that I agree with, and it's experimentation, not being afraid to try new things. You know, you do controlled experiments, which is kind of funny, but it's like, you know, you just don't, just do it. If you think you can't do it, you're not going to do it. You know, you just have to go with the mindset, like, I probably could do this, and then try it. Because you can create things for yourself. If you're missing a gray tonal, you could get some black food coloring and make yourself a skein of gray tonal yarn with a white that you already have in stash. So, hello, this is Rebecca from Cadence. You know, it's a very friendly greeting. I mean, I have my greeting as well. Hi, this is Kayleen, and this is the Littlebean and Me podcast channel. Welcome to my channel. You know, right, I'm gonna add a little more water to this. What will happen if I do XYZ? You're always excited. Let's be real. Let's have a real chat in the chat, because I always talk to you on your chat. But you're always excited. Anything you make, even if it's like it didn't come out the way you wanted, you're like, what is it? What do you say? You say, this yarn is absolutely stunning. This yarn is absolutely gorgeous. It's so cute. You're so adorable, and I love it. But it's true. You end up feeling that way about the yarn that you end up dyeing, no matter what it is. So. And I mean that in the get frustrated. Don't we all? We all get frustrated from time to time. Even I do. Like, not every colorway is a winner for me. Not every colorway do I love, or I say like, oh, I need to make that again a million times. Or there are some colorways that a lot of people like that I don't like. It's not my taste. It's hard for me to let go of the yarn. They are like your yarn babies. I feel the same way. Again, I'm just eyeballing it. Everybody always asks me how much acid I put in. It's probably about like a tablespoon of acid, which is more than what I need. For this volume of water, it's very low volume, but I prefer to err on the side of more acid. This water also already has acid in it, so it's already acidic. All right, let's warm this up. Prep the last 3 yarns. Been crocheting for years, starting in January. Love to make things with my own yarn. Yeah, you just do it. Again, I don't know if you know much about my backstory, how long you've been watching my channel, but for those of you who are new or who don't know, I'm a long-time crocheter. I've been crocheting since I was 13, and I'm now 33, and I started dyeing yarn 2 years ago, and I think coming up May or June is going to be my 2-year dye-anniversary, where I've been dyeing yarn for exactly 2 years. So I learned knitting 2 years ago. Like, since I worked in my local yarn shop and I really kind of got past my own mental block when it came to dyeing and doing stuff like that, like, I always thought I could never knit because I crocheted and I never knew what was a good way for me to knit. And anytime I was taught by someone else, they taught me English. They never crocheted before, or they were just a knitter, so they didn't really understand like the blockages that I was having. And so, look at this. What is that? So I just kind of bit the bullet and I said, you know what? The only thing stopping me is me. And I viewed that the same way about dyeing, because I was interested in it as a crocheter, because a lot of commercial yarns aren't dyed this way. A lot of them are dyed very pooling. So like, you can lay this yarn in a pan, or you dip it in certain sections and you'd end up with a repeatable kind of blocking color. So it ends up looking like camo in crochet, but it would like pool or spiral in knitting. So it's like a lot of things like that really frustrated me. So that's why I started dyeing. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. And if I fail, I fail. There's no harm with trying. And I already had art under my belt, so it was just kind of a matter of putting it to yarn. And I bought food coloring. I watched probably 100 hours of dyeing tutorials on YouTube and did research and read books, and I decided I was going to jump into it. And that's the end of that. That's all I did. And one of the channels I watched was Rebecca's channel. And it really did inspire me, and it continues to inspire me, which is why I subscribe to her and I participate in her live streams and her YouTube and her Facebook groups, because it's important for other people to see that kind of inspiration. Been crocheting for years, starting in January. Struggled to learn crochet for a while, took me a few tries. Started knitting when I was 10. Yeah, so same thing. So it's helpful to learn a skill from another person that also, so it's helpful for you to learn crochet from also a knitter or someone who crochets and knits and does well in both. Had those same issues when learning to knit? Yeah, that exactly. Christina, the same thing. The Norwegian purl literally changed my life. Like, learning that continental knitting was a thing was one thing, but then learning like Norwegian purl, that changed my life. I have to go help Cecilia. I'll be back in a moment. Sounds like me. Started crocheting when I was 12 and 26 now. Yeah, same. And it's just, don't limit yourself, because there's no harm in ever trying something new or trying a new skill. Filming a podcast, like, do it. If you want to do it, definitely just do it. Try and have fun. That's the whole main thing. If it brings you joy, then you shouldn't stop yourself from doing it. Sorry for that brief foray. Those are the things I would normally edit out. But anyway, what I was saying was, don't let your own inhibition stop you from doing something that you think would bring you joy. Part of the reason I started spinning, I started dyeing. Like, don't limit yourself because you think you might fail. Because failure is a part of it, and if you can move past a stumbling block, you'll be better for it, and you'll have more fun doing what you want to do. So, yes. I heard about your channel from watching Chemnitz and agree. Rebecca is always happy whenever I have a bad day. Yeah, you bring upbeatness to the world, yes. Bad day, dying, yeah, brings up my mood too. What's everyone working on? I am working on the changes shawl, which I guess I could go grab and show you while I'm prepping all of this stuff. Sorry if the pan sound is loud. It's usually quieter because it has yarn in it. There's just no yarn in it. But I am working on the changes shawl with the kit I dyed. I don't have enough yarn right now to dye more kits. I have to do a wholesale order, so I'll probably put it in today. It won't be here till Monday, so I won't be able to dye any over the weekend. But I have 7 skeins of sock yarn. 7 left. That's it. I thought I had 8. Apparently my yarn skills of like keeping track of my inventory is failing. I'm knitting a pennyroyal hat. Ooh, pennyroyal hat. Cool. Turn the volume back up. I like being able to mute the volume so I can put water in the sink. Pennyroyals are free. Oh no, you didn't lose sound. I turned the sound down. Sorry, I didn't warn you. I've been turning the sound down so that I don't blast your ears out with the water from the sink, because the sink is right next to the microphone. No, don't leave. It's not your fault, it's my fault. I turned the water off. I turned the sound off for the water. It's me. I did it. I'm sorry. Let me go grab my change of shawl and I can show you my progress on that while everything's getting prepped. Since I'm not doing a regular podcast, so I've not been able to do a ton of knitting, but I've been able to get to the orange part of the gradient. So I'm on side 1, so it starts in the center and it works out both sides. So I'm on the first side in the waffle texture, and I went from pink to red to orange. So that's where I'm at now, and that's taken about, so each gradient is like half gradients, so like 50 grams and 50 grams. So this is a 50-gram ball, and then I'll have another 50-gram ball to the rest of the side. Oh, don't go in the wet sink. That would be bad. Don't drop all your stitches either, silly goose. Let's see, how many repeats have I done? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 40 rows to get 3 colors out, and I have 2 more colors left. So I think I am estimating that I'll be able to get into the green enough so that when I turn the shawl and do the next section, it'll be good. So I'm hoping the color is reading across yeah, I love the grayish color. It makes me so happy. It's like a putty color. There we go. That's reading a little bit better. So you can see the pink and then the red and then the orange. So it was a speckled gradient. It's one of my pairs. So I sell speckled gradient pairs. So it's 2 50-gram identical gradients, as inspired by Rebecca from Knits, to actually unravel my double-stranded blank. I'd only ever attempted to unravel one, and it was from another indie dyer, but I think she makes her own, and she did it from a center pull ball, so she did the outside and the inside, and it was a nightmare to unravel, and I never wanted to do it again. And that's how I had done my blanks before, when I was knitting them, and then unraveling them was a nightmare. So then I never bothered unraveling the commercial blanks because I thought I would have a similar problem, but I didn't. Rebecca actually did a live stream of unraveling a sock blank on her Knitty Naughty, and I was like, holy moly, are you kidding me? So then I was like, oh my god, I can do this idea that I've been stewing on. So I've been dyeing up pairs so they match. So you can make a matching pair of socks, or you can use them in a shawl, like alternating skeins, and you can get one really long gradient, or you can use them, pretty much in anything, a sweater or anything you want, really. Okay, so this is 3 skeins. What colors would you like to see, friends? I'm happy to entertain ideas. I don't have a set idea for today. So this is 3 skeins. I might have another. Ouch, that's so hot. Don't touch it. I might put a 4th skein in there. I'm gonna get a 4th skein. I think I'll try. So this is a hand-tied skein, so I had a cone of MCN, and this might be more than 100 grams. I don't know. I don't have my scale. I think I'll practice dyeing on mini skeins. Definitely could. Definitely could. Especially if you're just going to hand paint, put it out on a table and squirt the color on, like doing Kool-Aid. Definitely. Have I ever done any Hobbit or Lord of the Rings themed colors? I have. I have Mount Doom, which was one of my first Halloween colors, but that's like a pooling color. I don't really busting out the big pot to do that. Hobbit, I did a mini skein set called The Shire, and it was a bunch of greens and browns. And I did a gradient one, so it was called Hobbit Feet. But other than that, I haven't really done many Lord of the Rings themed colors. Do you have a suggestion for a colorway? Like a theme, and I can look up an inspo pic, inspirational picture. You bought the Shire, yeah. I love that mini skein set. It's so cute. It's like the perfect complement of colors. I'm pretty sure I know who you are, Mary. I feel like I recognize your name. Ouch. It's hard to keep track of everyone, like where I know everyone from, whether it's from YouTube or Instagram or like just customers, like friends and customers who come in and purchase yarn. I recognize your name. It's easy when people use their name as their username, because then I'm like, oh yes, you are this person. Let's see if I can do a little. Yeah, they're really great. They're really fun. Those mini skeins. So let's see. This is turned really huge. Let's look up some cool pictures, shall we? Let's look up some inspo pictures. Here we go. Google. Hopefully my internet still works. Okay, here we go. Bill the pony. More browns. We could do a Tom Bombadil. Should we do a Tom Bombadil color? Knit crochet. Okay, you're a knit crochet maker. Okay. Gimli. Picture it. Yeah, sorry. Alright, let's look up some cool things here. Because I already have like a red and orange colorway, so I don't want to do another red and orange. We could do something like this. We could call it Fellowship. And have like a maroon and orange, navy. No, because that's like Ron Weasley. Or we could do like the Four Hobbits, where we have like mossy green, kind of like an emerald green, like a brown, and a sandy color. More greens and browns. Greens and teals. Super bright colors for Tom Bombadil. Yeah, right? Emily B3C. Okay, I recognize your user too. Okay, cool. Teals and grays. Oh, that might be good. Or we could do like a, I love seeing all these things on the screen, like the suggested searches. Sean Astin, kill, cute. Wraith, Bilbo Baggins, Tom Bombadil. Let's look at Tom Bombadil. Why not? Let's see what we got here. Ah, there we go. Isn't that funny? Although he has a much brighter blue on there. Yeah. Maybe I'm feeling this. Maybe I'm feeling this. What about like this? This picture maybe. Where we have some grays. Okay, I like this. I think I might do this. I think this is a good idea. Good idea. Can't send links. Yeah, I know, I'm sorry. Teals and Grays sounds really good and really different. Yeah, I think so too. Okay. I'll do the Argonauts. This is kind of a nice art piece of it. A little bit more vibrant colors to draw from. So we have browns, blues, grays. I like it. I like it. I'm feeling that. We can jive with that. Okay, so I'm gonna close this little window capture. Again, sorry for the picture-in-picture. I did not mean to blast everyone's eyes out with that huge thing. Yeah, I'm feeling that. Let's do it. Let's do it. So let me grab some colors that go with that. Blue and gray. We have. We'll do indigo color. So I like that color, and I don't use that color very often. Okay, we need some browns. Brown. This brown and a touch of. Sorry, I'm blinding the chat. Oh goodness. Well, these won't be posted tomorrow because they're not going to be ready. They're not going to be, like, they'll be dry, but I still have to photograph them and then I have to list them. So anyway, one of these skeins may be bigger than 100 grams, so somebody's going to be a lucky winner with that skein. So we're going to do the Argonath. Ouch, that's so hot. Kayleen, don't do that. Okay, just trying to make sure we got enough room in here. We are going to die. Wait happily and patiently. Okay. Everybody's been so patient with me. Like, I have to say that this group, like here on YouTube and the customers who come to my Etsy shop and Instagram followers, like everybody has been so kind and so patient even through really tough times, and for that I'm extremely thankful. Like every single day I wake up and I thank the powers that be, whoever they may be, that I have such patient and kind customers and kind friends and kind colleagues in this cool community. Okay, so we got that. Let's see. Should I pull a green in for like the hills? I might pull a green in. I know which green. I'm going to do a moss green because this green breaks blue. I'll be right back also because Cecilia's calling me again, and again I will go. I'll be right back. Okay. Little girl is on the iPad everybody's occupied. I'm gonna get my mask on. So we're gonna dye the Argonath. I think it's a great idea. I have a good idea for how I want this to go. So we are gonna start with the gray and the brown, just because they won't move as much. And I kind of want them to be the base, so to speak, of the color, because, you know, it's those big statues on the cliff. And so you want it to be like stone. So I'm just gonna smush it out. And then I'll definitely dye this up if it comes out well and I like how it's coming. I'll definitely dye it up on other bases. I'll dye it up on everyday sock or whatever. Most people like everyday socks, so that's what I usually dye on. Okay, here we go. Ooh, I like this. I like this already very much. Alright, so we have kind of the cliffs. We're going to do... Ooh, this mask needs to be replaced. Okay. And this is pretty much how colorway dyeing goes for me, especially if I'm making something new. I just kind of think about it general. Like some colors I really plan, but then there are some colors where I just go by the seat of my pants and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to dye it in this way or in this sequence, or this is how much of what color I want to see. So I'm going to go in with the blue. I'm going to do that here. Yes, queen. This is good. Okay, I'm liking it. I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. I like this a lot. Okay. Just okay. Yeah, making connections. Alright, so we got blue and gray and black. You know, I don't even think I need this darker color. You know what, I might forego the darker blue and I'll go with the green for the grays. And this does break blue, so this will be interesting to see. It's a little hard to see on the camera because, you know, the webcam doesn't pick up the colors as well. And it's a little bit yellow cast because the light up here is pretty yellow. Let's see. I don't know if that helps, but it's very lovely, very saturated. Usually the first run of a colorway ends up much more saturated than I end up making it in the future, because it literally is just, you know, the experimentations with colors, and so it ends up just being a, you know, a guessing game at first, and then as it goes along, you know, I end up adjusting myself or adjusting how I apply the color or whatever. You love it, you love it, you love the blue. I do love the blue too. I don't use that blue enough. I like it. But I think this will be pretty. Boop, boop, boop. I'd say today was a pretty good success. Don't you, my friends? When I woke up today, I was not sure what I was going to do. And I'm so happy that I died. That I died today. Dyed some yarn because it just makes me happy inside. So when my other yarn shipment comes in next week, for those on the playback who may have made it to this point, I don't know. But I should order some yarn tonight. It should be here Monday, and then I'll try and get back on track with Changes shawl kits for those who are really interested, and dyeing some of these colors on the everyday sock base. Yay for new friends! Yay! Great! Yay! I'm so happy that you guys connected. I love when people connect on the chat. So, I love reading when everybody like finds each other, like, oh, I know you, oh, let's connect. It makes me happy inside, you know. Oh, that's so pretty. It's hard to wait. So like this is much more saturated than I normally would go for a colorway. That's hot. But I think I'm really liking it, so I'm going to write down these colors. Let me write these down in my little notes here. I got my notes, my sticky notes. So it ends up being 4 colors. 4 colors. Aw, Mary, you're so sweet. You're the sweetest person. So glad I found you long ago when you used to podcast in your dining room. I know, that was when Tucker was born. Like, he was so little, and it was easy to podcast because, like, wherever I put him down is where he would stay. And, like, he had only, like, just started walking, and it was easy for a while. And then I think there's an episode called, like, Interrupting Cow, where I got interrupted like 32 times in a podcast. And I kept the counter on the top, like ding, 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 like every time a kid came up to me while I was trying to film. It was hilarious. Then I started podcasting during nap. And then Tucker stopped really napping all that consistently. And Cece has school, and so like things started changing more, which is kind of funny. But yeah, I used to podcast in my dining room, and then I moved into the office space. And also it was easier to do in the office space. So if Cece's home and Tucker's napping, I can still do a podcast because I can close myself in the office. And the light in there is really good because I got a new daylight bulb. So I can do that. But I don't have any friends. Oh, hey, you can meet up with us, Emily, online. We're always around for inspo and to chat and stuff. Always poops. Oh, you missed Cece. One of the times where I left, I had to go help her in the bathroom because she had just, you know, done her due diligence in there, so to speak. It always ends up happening, and that's why I do it when Tucker's napping, because he's like the master pooper. Like, he'll leave the room and just take a big one, and you're just like, I have to change you right now because this is disgusting. Well, I'm so happy you can join me too, Rebecca. Thanks so much for continuing to inspire everybody in this community and inspire me. And I'm glad you could join me, and I'll see you soon. So I think this should be ready to flip. So I'm going to flip it. We're on 1 hour and 40 minutes. This is a long one. I'm glad I broke it up. But this is how long it takes, you know, like a few hours to dye 20 skeins of yarn. You know, you've got a lot going on. So normally I dye 2 different bases. So I'll have colorways in mind. And so I'll dye on like a DK base in one pot, and I'll dye on my fingering weight base in another pot, so that I get at least 4 skeins of the colors on different bases, because everybody asks for different things. Most people like if I'm looking at demographics of what people purchase, is sock yarn. So like fingering weight with nylon is most popular. And then, oh, that's so pretty. And then after that comes like DK and worsted weight. Not many people have asked me for sport. Not many people ask for sparkle. There are a few customers who really love sparkle, and I'm happy to oblige. I had somebody ask me for lace weight yarn, but I've never dyed on lace weight, so I don't think I'll do it. But yeah, most people are cool with, you know, regular old sock yarn, or because you can do so much with it. It's really versatile. So just gonna dye up this other side. This is so pretty. It's like a present, like unwrapping a present when you do a new colorway. It's like you're learning something new, you're seeing something you've never seen before. And this is how it kind of goes. Like I'll find an inspiration photo, or I'll think about a movie or a scene from something, and like that's how I'll end up dyeing it, is like direct from the source. Like I don't look to other things, other people or whatever. You know, I really try to, you know, pull that inspiration right from the photo. So like the photo that I took, that I saw, that you guys saw too, was the Argonath, but it was like dark gray and brown, blue, and a little bit of green for the grass on top of the hills. So that's really the colors I'm going with. I can see where this will go once I kind of figure the ratios of everything, like how things play together. Because I'm kind of, right now I'm just spreading out the colors. So this will be a bit more saturated, a little less, you know, specks. But I think it will be beautiful this way too. It is very creative. It can be relaxing. For me, my husband says to me, you know, it's funny because like a lot of people, they're like, oh, my husband hates my yarn. My husband complains I buy so much yarn. My husband says to me when he gets home, he's like, if the house smells like wool, I know that it's been a good day. And that makes me so happy inside, because he knows how much yarn dyeing means to me, and he knows that it really does bring me joy and relaxation. The only stressful thing is when I can't do it, or when I feel really limited with my time, like wanting to dye more than I'm able to. Like I dream about having a studio all to myself. Like a studio with a window that I can see outside, that I can just do whatever I want to do, and I don't have to be so restricted with my time or how I'm doing things, because like I have a method here when I'm dyeing, and how I manage the dyes and how I clean, because I have to be very careful, because I'm doing this in an area where we also prepare food, so I have to control everything, because I don't want to like accidentally poison myself or my kids. So because acid dyes are pretty toxic if you ingest them. So a lot of things get done in the sink. So I'll put my rags in the sink, and I'll put my dye canisters in the sink, as opposed to on my counter when I'm actively using them, so that in case there's dye splash over, it goes in the sink where I can clean it up easily. So, and also I do it on my stove, so after this is done, like the whole entire stove is going to get scrubbed down with magic erasers and Windex and just anything to remove the dye. So we'll see how this goes. We'll see the final product, and then we'll wrap up the live stream. I think 2 hours is a good round out point. So I'm going to start cleaning up a little bit here. I'm so glad that you guys have stuck around for the whole stream. Thank you for keeping me company today. I feel like I really needed it, you know, having some folks around to chat with. I dream of having a craft room, yeah. I wish I had a craft room that was just dedicated to my craft. So I have my office space. Excuse me. Again, taking off the mask makes for difficult breathing. Now I need a glass of water. So, apologies for the water sound. My office space is the office / guest room / storage room / exercise room. So it literally is everything. And like my kids have a play area, so which way do I go? I go this way. So behind me, you can see the room that's there. That's the toys room. So all the kids' toys are in there. At least we try to keep them in there. I could have them forego a toy room and I would take over that room for crafts, but I think that would be kind of mean and it would make my life a lot harder. So I just deal with what we have. I wish that when we got the new bed and we redid the office early last year, that I got a loft bed instead of just a regular bed on the floor, because then I could use the space under the bed. The bed doesn't get used all that often. We have it there just in case my mom or my brother wants to come and visit us. But that's what I'm wishing. But I wish that I had enough time. It's really time that is limiting to me. Enough time to really start scaling my business, to be more productive, to have more so I could sustain more, so to speak. So, you know, I make enough now to pay the bills for the business and to put money back into the business, but I'd really like to be able to put money away so that I could afford to rent a space for just dyeing, you know, to have a space that is just for the business and just free for me to do whatever I want. So if I wanted to dye fiber, or if I wanted to I was talking on the earlier stream about watching soap making channels, so if I wanted to make wool wash for myself, I could do that in that space, because I can't do dangerous things because of the kids. Like, even I keep my dyes up high and in closed containers. I have little child locks that I'm going to be putting on my dye rack that's back there. See if you can see. So see there? So there's my dye rack. Whoa! Sorry. So there's the dye rack right there. And so I have it color coded and it's all in closed containers, but I have to be able to like lock it up so that the kids don't get into it. But I can't use lye in the house. I can't use like dangerous chemicals. So my yarn lives under my bed in my cedar chest. Yeah, sounds about right. It's about right. Littlebean yarn lives in cubbies. My personal stash lives in drawers under the desk. But Littlebean yarn lives in like the cubbies that I can easily access. So, alright, let's take a peek at this yarn. We'll wash it up and be done. Ooh, oh, it's so pretty. It's so nice. Alright. Alright, that is definitely set. I don't know if you guys can hear. Cece is watching some kind of Monsters Incorporated in the other room. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's very pretty. Very pretty. Alright. I am going to lower the volume yet again. You're very welcome. I want to do more. Like, to be honest, my goal is to upload once a week, but I can't. So now my goal is to upload once a month. So even if I end up doing this once a month, I don't mind it. And I don't mind sharing knowledge. Like, I think there's a line to what gets shared or what doesn't get shared. but I'm happy to share technique. I'm happy to share, the proper way to do things and like how to set yarn and how to dye itself. I'm not going to give you the colors that I put in my colorways. I'm not going to give you, proprietary information, but I'm happy to help in any way that I can. So let me turn this down and I'm going to run the water. Then we're going to see what this color looks like. All right, a little bit of soap. Sharing what you can, I think it's great. Yeah, there is room to share. I cannot dye enough yarn for the whole world. So I don't feel restricted that I should. I don't feel restricted that I should restrict others in what they feel like they want to do with their time. If you want to dye yarn, certainly come on board, dye yarn. It is saturated, it is competitive, but if you have the drive and you want to do it, then you just do it. Littlebean Loves Yarn can only do so much. Like if you think of the other bigger dyers like Huloco or Vine or Mad Tosh, I don't know if you can call Mad Tosh indie anymore because they're so mainstream, but it's hard to see. I'll take photos of this, but we have some really nice values in here. Generally, we've kept a white base. It has not really gone too gray or too brown. There's maybe a little bit of that kind of coming through. But for the most part, it's white with specks of gray, green, brown. The moss didn't break too much. The mossy color did not break too much. Oh. Well, thank you to Emily. Thank you for watching. Thank you for participating. It's all about the community, I think having a great community really is key. And like people who support other people, like I'm a person. My business is me. I'm just a person behind a screen. I'm just a human like everyone else, trying to do my best to support my family. Oh yeah, this is definitely a bigger than 100 gram skein. Someone's gonna get a bonus out of this. But makers supporting makers, and that's what's great about the fiber communities, because there's, oh yeah, this is definitely 150 grams. So I might list this separately. This is definitely 150 grams. So one of the skeins, there'll be 300 gram skeins and 150 gram skein. So for the most part, you have people on all levels, all skill levels, craft levels. You have people who use yarn, weavers, crocheters, knitters, people who do other types of mixed media art or mixed things like needlepoint. You could dye thread if you wanted to. So it's there's room for everyone here, and that's what I really like. And not everybody loves indie yarn, or they don't understand the cost or what goes into it, but to me, when you're buying from a small business like an indie dyer, you're supporting them directly. You're not supporting a big company. You're supporting them and their family and whatever staff they've hired to help them run their business. But it's not like Bernat yarn. How many factories are there for Bernat yarn? How much goes into stuff there? You know what I mean? Yeah, it's cheap, but I much prefer saving my money and then spending it on something that to me makes much more of an impact to another person who is like me. So I'd rather spend the money and have it support a friend, another fiber artist, somebody that I respect, than somebody I don't know. And there's a place for different types of yarn and acrylics and craft store yarn, and there's a place for that, and I respect that as well. But when it comes to like me running my business, I like to run it and I like to live my life like as I would hope other people see me, which is a person who's doing an art form, a craft, to provide a quality product to inspire other fiber artists to create cool things, like make meaningful things, make things that they love, that bring them joy, that bring their family joy, you know. So that's how I see it anyway. You're supporting good people who are putting care into a special piece. It does. There's a lot of work. So this is only part of the work. So you saw me prep, you saw me soak, you saw me dye, wait, dye, wait, dye. There's a lot of waiting involved in dyeing. And then now comes the cleanup, which I won't show you, but you know, it takes time. I have to put away all the dye. I have to put away the yarn. I have to spin dry it. So I do have a spin dryer, which is one of the best things I ever invested in for my business. So you can see it right there. Oop, there it is. And hang it up. Then I have to scour and clean every single surface that had a dye canister on it, which means I have to take everything off my counters, like all the dye canisters, any like implements, so utensils that I use to dye, and clean up everything, like sterile cleaning pretty much, to make sure everything is set. Then once these are dry, they get wound into like skeins. I'll just check them, but I usually don't have problems with tangling. So if I need to reskein it, I will, but I typically don't. I skein them up, photograph them, edit the photos, post the photos, make the listings, put the listings live, then do all the shipping part. So like the dyeing piece is like 10% of like the whole entire thing. The personal aspect of small business adds so much value and worth to purchases. I agree. We live in a small town, and I try and shop locally when I can, and I try supporting small business when I can. Like, for example, there's a shoe shop in town that used to be in the town next to us, but you know, it's a small family-owned business, and so we go shopping there for our shoes, even though they're more expensive, because I'd rather support that small business. And I would shop there for the kids' shoes if they had kids' shoes, you know, stuff like that. My family is open to family business, and it's a lot of work, but we love it. Oh, that's so cool, refurbishing furniture. That takes a lot of time. Holy moly. My husband's grandfather does woodwork, and he doesn't do it very much anymore, but like refinishing things. Like we have a table, our coffee table is one that he made, I believe. But he would do wood turning and bowl craft, like he would craft bowls and stuff. But anyway, all right, so I'm going to go. Here's our little yarn baby, the Argonath. And so you guys will get to see this. So if you're not following me on Instagram, for those who are here, obviously, we've chatted about this before, but if anybody else who's watching, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please do. Make sure you hit the bell icon, because YouTube doesn't like to send subscriptions out to people. So you have to hit the bell to make sure you get it if you want it. And then follow me on Instagram if you don't. That's where I post most often, and where I post shop updates, like when they're going to be. Typically I do Saturdays at 1. These will not be ready for this week. These will be ready next week. And then if you have comments or questions, please make sure to leave them in the comment section down below. I'm always reading the comments, and I always reply to comments if they need a reply. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thank you for joining me, and if you've made it this far on the rewatch, thank you so much for hanging out. Thanks to everyone in the chat, and I'm very excited to get these hung up. So I'll see you guys soon, and have a great day. Bye!